Welcome to GTC Insiders. We're here in the lovely Lisbon for our company event 2025. I'm joined by the mobile identity team of the year. I think we're bringing together what is a remarkable kind of set of skills and knowledge. And perhaps I can start by asking Guillaume, who was the most recent or the most kind of with the most experience at GTC, kind of how you came to GTC, how you kind of started in mobile identity, and a bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, James. I came to GTC almost 2 years ago now. It's been, but the journey in mobile identity started almost 15 years ago. And it was really driven by messaging for authentication and working mostly with hyperscalers like Google and Meta, moving to the US, from Belgium to the US, and finding about the power of the mobile identity solution and how they could change how we were authenticating from messaging to a more secure way and solution of set of solutions. And that's where I worked at Telesign for quite a while. Working on different type of solutions, always revolving about mobile identity, and then setting up UFT that was actually from just a simple observation. There was no real advisory for companies in the telco world around mobile identity. And mobile identity was becoming, a few years ago, something that was kind of becoming out, in the world after 10 to 15 years in the underworld, and we have got some challenges with it.
This will happen.
And so,
just missed.
Like a few years ago, setting up an advisory shop for companies was pretty successful right away because again there was not real competition, if I can say. And this is where GTC was really complementary, already having a lot of customers in the mobile world. And this is where we saw like definitely a complementarity to joining forces. And we joined GTC almost 2 years ago now.
Of course.
So that's the journey.
And clearly since then, the customers, the services.
Yeah, since we have seen that, you're totally right. I mean, over the last 2 years, it's been really nothing short when it comes to work, because there is a huge demand, definitely. But before going to work, you have to educate also. So there is an educational process around the ecosystem that was built around the messaging world. Right? Moving to identity is not a small thing. It's a big leap, and for that, people need really to get the right advice. And we've been working with a lot of different companies over the last 2 years. We first to educate, and now to help them to productize mobile identity and make it a reality and monetize it. Either it's with mobile operators, carriers, wholesalers, enterprises. This has been really an important work that we have done: education, productization, monetization.
Fantastic. And it feels like the perfect time for Bob to join, which was at our last customer event. And he obviously came at a time when we were seeing such demand in the markets, but also brought a kind of productization knowledge which complemented everything that we wanted to do. So perhaps, Bob, you could start to build upon a bit
thanks, James. Really wonderful to be here in Lisbon as a GTC employee now with the branding. So, in fact, the story that I will tell runs very much parallel to Guillaume's and then converges. So, I started at Telesign. Before that, I led a small entity startup for API monetization for a telco. So when I joined Telesign, we tried to increase our partnerships actually with telcos and the carriers. As Guillaume said, you need to do a bit of education they wanted to understand. And, telcos by nature or carriers by nature are a bit conservative. So the first challenge was actually to tell them that, hey, there is something called mobile identity. And this is really going to be a very important piece of your revenue stream in the future. But you need to start now to be there when the customer needs you in 18 months, in 24 months. So we started talking with them, and I had probably between, I don't know the exact number, but it's between 90 to 100 all over the world. So I was responsible for what we call data strategy in the product and portfolio team. And 50% of the discussions we had with the C-level, we got invited back. And they said, let's sign an MOU, let's do something. But the issue with Telesign was that Telesign, as an aggregator, maybe sometimes not the best fit. So, and that's before joining GTC, we started talking with Guillaume, and we said, there is this demand, certainly, but maybe you need to be more neutral in order to be able to actually make the best choices together with the customer interest first. So that's what attracted me to GTC. But of course, Guillaume was there, and he's very credible as an expert in the industry. So we looked at a little bit about what was possible for our customers. So, we started a bit slow, just testing, and then we saw huge demand that confirmed that at Telesign what we were doing was right, but maybe the operating model, the business model wasn't a great fit. And now, as Guillaume said, we see an exponential growth in the interest. We collaborated with GSMA. We wrote a white paper about mobile identity coming of age. So now we are, I think, at we call it a crawl, walk, run phase. I think we are now passing the crawling phase, and then now these operators are, with our help, realizing that actually they can productize their solutions. They need maybe some partnership, some advice about go-to-market, about how to make the sales pitch, how to build a sales approach to it with building an ecosystem. But I think we are on a good way together with our partners to be able to do it. And because my love is data, big data. So one of the things that we realize is that even though Camara and GSMA is great creating standardization, there is still some monetization possibility from the data that telcos generate every day. And that's what machine learning, AI come into play, where they can actually answer many other different questions about identity verification, but also identify fraud. And rather than just saying that, hey, there is fraud happening on your platform, they already stop it before it enters, in fact, on their platform.
Amazing. And from Guillaume's vision to Bob's detailed product, you were talking about then the data side. And obviously, that's almost like we'd planned this interview perfectly, in that Alessandro joining the business. We spoke a short time ago about, obviously, what you can bring to customers. What do you see as building upon Guillaume, Bob, and then yourself coming?
Yeah, essentially what Bob was mentioning, I think, was very apt to the discussion. I think that there are large volumes of data in the industry that are in some capacity untapped. Like it's kind of like a gold mine of information that hasn't been, let's say, mined yet. You can pass me this expression. And so, like in any gold rush, because we are, in a way, in an AI gold rush, in a way, you have to move fast and make it before someone else does. And so what Bob was mentioning to me, and I think Guillaume agrees with me about is that, risk scoring solutions that are AI powered, they could serve pretty well as a gateway keeper to essentially reduce cost and friction in a way, like in onboarding processes, et cetera, verification processes in general. So I'd say that we are, though, just at the beginning of the journey, as like Bob mentioned. So there is a lot of work that has to be done, especially because we're talking about large volumes of data and also types of data that is very hard to quantify and understand. So it is required a lot of domain expertise, but also patience and an iterative approach. Like you need to basically define the small and concrete milestones that you can reach and then move to the next one, starting from data analysis and exploration to engineering signals from the raw data through maybe aggregates or time aggregates, etc. And then bring that into the space of pattern recognition, machine learning, and artificial intelligence eventually. And all this, of course, may include and hopefully will include also the introduction of agentic systems at a certain point that will act as essentially routing brains for signals and processes. So there is definitely a lot that can be done, but the challenges are important and substantial.
Of course. But it feels, like I said, we're building something special here in the market. And it feels like we're here at the right time as well, in that we're seeing the customer demand. But perhaps to bring it to life, I can ask Bob, you to start, and then each of you to comment on what are the real case kind of examples of what you think that this will bring in the future for kind of customers, but also for kind of consumers on a daily basis.
So I think the first thing it's going to bring for the telcos, for the carriers, is that they create a very important revenue stream that is going to help them actually address the fall of messaging and transition. So I really don't like the term transformation, but they would need to transform to a certain degree actually to be able to offer mobile identity. And we support them in this journey. So there are some gaps in the organization that I think they will become aware with our support. We help them understand, because telcos typically, the typical telco service is actually very competitive. You have to choose between, and mobile identity is actually collaborative. So they have to change a bit of the mindset so that they can, when the customer comes, they want access to ideally 100% of the phone numbers to be able to get the insights. So that I think is going to be quite important with our support to create almost like a consortium or group of collaborators to leverage their insights. So with that, I'll maybe hand it over to Guillaume to talk forward.
Yeah, I think the change, yes, is on one end is about the carriers themselves embracing the change. But also from the whole ecosystem that has been built over the last 15, 20 years around the messaging space that was mostly dedicated to OTPs. And so to the authentication is about how you are authenticating the user. So for the enterprise, it's about having the diversity and diversifying the ways they can authenticate the users with the best method available and also the most secure one. So it means that mobile identity is bringing a really strong basis, but we're going to definitely have different methods of authentication that going to go through that medium, which is our device. And this is for the future, is to let the enterprise also choose what method they want to apply based on the most secure path, but also the best user experience. And this is about context. And this is where AI and machine learning is helping also to define that context. The context can be also the type of fraud, the type of transaction you are doing. And so this is where you need to embrace that, not just being able to terminate a mere transaction for mobile identity, right, and authentication, but also to understand that context. And this is why it's so important to start this work really in depth on starting with understanding the type of data you have at hand. What is the context and how you're going to apply that in the future? And I think that's where also Alessandro is becoming so important, also in that context for GTC and for the customers of GTC.
For the endorsement. No, yeah. So I think that to me, like if I were to say something to complete what Guillaume and Bob have just said, the biggest transformation for the customers, meaning GTC customers, is that every player in this field has to become a data company if they want to be successful.
Yeah.
And it's not like an option anymore. If you want to stay, I go back to my gold rush example. If you want to stay strong in the market, if you want to keep your revenue streams high, this is the time to change, to embrace change, to ride the wave. But again, as I said, it's not easy. It's a bumpy road. But that's where we're at. We are. I mean, I'd say this maybe without exaggeration, like in the middle of an industrial revolution that is powered by artificial intelligence, and you don't want to stay behind. That's the thing, and so our mission is going to be essentially trying to help as best as we can and support our customers through this transformation, and make the best out of what they already have, and maybe they don't know they have or they're not aware of. So that's
very good. So clearly, we've got the ingredients required by the customers. One final question, and we'll do the other way this time. Thankfully, you weren't hit by that branch that dropped. Probability
Not
was
yet.
probably on your side there.
We'll see.
The why now? We've spoken about kind of now's the time, but kind of for you, why? You spoke it's the next industrial revolution, but kind of why do you feel customers should be working with us right now?
Well, I think that because our, at least I can speak like for our mobile identity team. I think that the combination of our expertise is not common. Like I think that we are people with different backgrounds and complementary skills. They do have a long-standing. I've had a long-standing journey through data and data solutions in the field of fraud detection and telecommunication security, if I may say. So to me, that's definitely one of the most attractive elements, and for me, it's a pleasure to have joined the company and getting to work with Guillaume again after we parted Telesign, and I leave the floor to him to complete.
I think I can see a tear in his eyes, so it was a nice handover.
Definitely going to the heart.
Right.
Touched him.
No.
I think you're right. It's just a combination of the experience that is definitely something that is kind of unique between the three of us. We have been working in different field of for fraud detection, for mobile identity, and that's been really something where we combine almost 50 years of experience around that, which is pretty rare in this industry. But also it's that mobile identity and fraud detection solutions and so on is not a one-size-fits-all. And this is where you need companies like GTC to really assess what is the future for your company. And you were saying where company needs to become data company. When you've been in the telco world and becoming a data company, you think, okay, it makes sense and it should be an easy step. But this is something that's a really, yes, actually you don't do that. It's not a mere leap. It's a big leap. Yeah. And you need also that come from top to bottom and that the whole company embrace that. And so this is where we help to accelerate, to productize actually that I would say that passage from being a telco to a data company. And this is where GTC brings that level of experience and also a work ethic, a process, and a product that really take into consideration the needs of the customers.
And Bob?
Yeah, I think Guillaume actually summarized it pretty well. When we are supporting those customers to become data companies from if you think about it, it's sad to say, but telcos, they were becoming a little bit of a dump pipe. And we support them actually to become a data company. And that's a long process. So I think where we support is all the way starting from vision and strategy definition and that's where I think our unique experience comes together is strategy implementation. We can talk about implications of regulation and not only talk about simple like 6 articles of GDPR, but we can say, hey, look, you need like 18, 20 different kinds of documents and you need to prove everything. And this is how we think that is going to be compliant to ensure that your legal team is aware of. So we give, I think, good examples of what to do, but also help them avoid the pitfalls because we have seen through it. So we lived it, we had issues. So I think when I talked to some customers, we said, look, it took us like 10 years actually to sometimes bring something to a level, but we think maybe 8 of these years could be compressed into 12 months because we will just make sure that we take the right steps each time and avoid making some very costly mistakes. One of the issues with data is if you don't get it right from the very beginning, it's very difficult to get it right once you start, when you bring it in front of customers, etc., because it's going to kind of, they say, catch it in design, it takes 3 days to fix. Catch it in the product, it takes 3 months. Catch it in the field, it takes 3 years to fix. So that's what we bring with governance, being able to tell, hey, what kind of reorganization do you need? I think that was why I think Guillaume's point was very important, from all the way to the top. And some of these customers we advise, we present to the board, but then half an hour later we are talking to somebody who's really in charge of operations. We talk to HR, we talk about upskilling. So what we are able to do actually is to be able to talk to almost every department at our customers and to be able to bring some very valuable insights, information that I think it would be very costly mistakes if they would try to go out and let's say do trial and error.
And that experience and knowledge is kind of what GTC have kind of built and brought together, and that's really where the company was started from. So we always end with a slightly tricky question. I'll ask Guillaume first to give you guys time. So in no more than kind of 5 words, we're here at GTC's customer event in Lisbon. What do you think that means for you? 5 words.
That's a tricky one. And,
that's 2.
Communion with the customers.
Perfect. Bob?
I was going to say customer delight actually, because we try to live by that and we try to make, like with mobile identity, everything frictionless. So I'll say more than 5. My 2-word answer is customer delight. But we put a huge amount of effort behind the scenes to ensure that everything seems frictionless.
Perfect. And Alessandro?
For me, it's like more about, because I'm new, so
you can have more than 5.
I am introducing to buy time. No, no. For me, it's like I would use like a term that is motivated from reinforcement learning. I think that's a greedy discovery of in a sense that's kind of like a greedy grid search of all the possible things that we could do as a company and with the customers and the data that we do have, they have.
Perfect. So that's probably the perfect ending to the interview, guys. I just want to thank you for your time, and also we look forward to seeing your work really benefit our customers in the future.
Thank you, Jim.